All right, I want to do a quick video of an oil change, the first oil change on my 2020 Vespa Sprint 150. I bought this scooter used with very low miles, under 100, and I put a few miles on it last summer. So let's see what we got here. 383 miles. Now the recommended first service is 600 miles. So it could be argued that I don't have to change it yet. But this oil's been in the crankcase for at least 2 years. It's been heat cycled a number of times just through use. So I feel like I want to change it now while I can. And then once it's changed, the regular service is 6,200 miles. So I won't have to worry about it for a long time. The other thing I was going to say is the hub oil for the transmission. I expected that I would have to change the break-in oil on that, and I don't. If you look at the manual, it just says to inspect every 6,200 miles. So basically you just look at the level, make sure that it's got enough, but it doesn't even require a change. So anyway, let me get some tools and we'll go through what we're going to do with this thing. All right, let's take a look at what we have here. Drain pan, obviously. This is the replacement filter for the Sprint and the Primavera 150. Okay, that's the Piaggio branded filter. This O-ring, I have a couple of these. That's going to go on the drain plug, the drain bolt. Okay, we'll replace the O-ring. These crush washers, I think I got that for the transmission, the hub oil, which doesn't need to be done. But so I have some spares. All right, oil. This is 540, the Motul 300V. So this is, they spec basically a JASO 5W40 weight motorcycle oil. So this fits the bill, and I've used this for other stuff, so I have some there. And the capacity is 1.3 liters. All right, so we'll deal with that when we get to it, because this has got a pretty broad way of measuring, so we're gonna have to figure out how to get a little more specific. Okay, this is a little goofy, but whatever, it works. I'm trying to keep the bike vertical and not use the center stand. And this scooter does have a side stand. The previous owner put a side stand on it, but it leans. We've got to keep it vertical so that we can drain the oil. Now the reason why we don't want to use the center stand is because, look, right here is where your drain bolt is, and here's your oil filter. If this stand was down, it would just run all over it and make a complete mess. So you want to try to get that center stand up. All right, so now let me crack that bolt and we'll start draining. The other thing I noticed is that I'm gonna need to use a lower drain pan. This guy is a little too high. So, all right, grab my open end wrench. All right, let me give you a helpful hint here, because I'm having trouble getting my open end on this because we got interference with this big filter here. So I can't really get my wrench, you know, I don't have a lot of range here. It's from there to there. That's about it. And when I get it up here, you know, I'm just about catching the bolt head, and now I can't go up and loosen because I'm hitting the oil filter. So what I'm gonna do is remove the oil filter first, and then I'll have clearance to unscrew that bolt. Okay, of course I can't use a tripod because, you know, it's so low, but basically what I have here is some pliers, and this shouldn't be torqued too hard. Okay, it's starting to move. And I'm holding the camera with one hand, which is difficult. Okay, you can see it spinning. Okay, and of course, we're kind of destroying this thing a little bit. I don't know how I'm going to get the new one on without damaging it, but we'll figure that out when we get to it. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. See if you can see it. Okay, so now we should have the clearance. We should have the clearance. Wow, that's a shallow bolt head, so I want to put two hands on it. Let's see if we can get the camera. See if you can see this. All right, just spun it. I just spun it. Hoping you guys can see this. Yeah, and there's also going to be a filter in there. It's one of those cartridge filters. Let me get some needle nose and I can pull it out. All right, you're going to see this in a second, but there it is. All right, so now we have to get the bike vertical so that this thing can drain. So let me use those tie downs right now. All right, the scooter's vertical right now. It's draining. I'm going to show you how to clean that screen filter when we come back. But basically, I'm just going to let it drain right now. It's being held up by the tie downs. Now, I wouldn't leave it like this if there were any kids around or anything because it's a little sketchy. It's not super stable, but it's going to be fine as long as nobody touches it. And when I get back, the oil should be done draining. All right, what we're doing here is we're just kind of degreasing this bolt. And we're going to remove this O-ring. And most likely you could just reuse the O-ring. But I had bought these a while ago just to kind of have in the toolbox. I may as well use it. Alright, so you want to use some sort of a pick tool. And I don't even have my glasses on, but there you go. So that came right out. Well, there it is. We've got the filter, and I've got my glasses on, so I'm just kind of visually inspecting this. There's definitely some gunk over here that collected. It doesn't look metal though. It's like, looks like even like white plastic or something like that. I don't know if you can see that. Not sure what that would be. It looks like it's crushing. It might just be kind of like a jelly type substance from the oil, maybe the water and oil. I don't know. Doesn't even seem like it's hard. So it's definitely not metal. So what you want to do is just rinse this thing off. I'm using brake fluid that kind of cuts through the oil. Okay, this looks nice and clean now. No more debris or anything on the screen. This also has an O-ring, but I don't have a replacement, and I'm just going to put it back in the way it is. All right, we're all done here draining, and we're going to reverse the steps of disassembly by putting the drain bolt in first. So let's grab the screen. So you're basically just trying to find a little center guide that this thing goes into. Yeah, and it just, you can feel it once it seats. All right, and now we've got our new O-ring on the drain bolt. Let's see if I can go from here. You can see it. Okay, and our new oil filter. Everybody says, oh, you should wet the seal. Well, I don't, and I've never had a leak. The other thing is there's a lot of oil already in that housing, so that seal is going to touch oil when it goes in. So, but let's see if I can aim the camera up here. I can get it. I can get it pretty tight with two hands. Let me see, I have a couple oil filter wrenches, but this is so small, I don't think it's going to work. But let me take a look, I'll be right back. Let's see, can you see that? That's a funky tool, but is it big enough? No, the problem is you can't. Okay, I got a quarter turn maybe. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's good. It's a good thing I have this thing. I thought it was snug, but it's taking more turns. This is grabbing like the flute parted, the flute part of the oil filter, you know, that ribbed part at the end. So these teeth are just grabbing it. All right, snug. I don't want to crush it. So that's that. Now we've got to put oil in it. And we're going to put it on the center stand now. Okay, here is the oil fill. Everybody complains that this thing is very horizontal and very small diameter to get a funnel in. And you can see it. Let me see what I have for funnels. But worst case, I may just tip this thing on its side if I have to. I'll be right back. Okay, here's the interesting thing. I've got this funnel, and I can put it in here, no problem. But if you see in there, there's a smaller diameter hole that the oil has to flow through, and my funnel is bigger than that. So it's just going to want to rush out the side. And again, because it's very horizontal, we don't have gravity helping us in any way, it looks like. So let me see if I can tip the scooter on its side to get a little bit more help. Okay, so I've got the bike leaning over on my hydraulic cart. You can see the handlebar is touching right there. So now I've got a nice little angle here. And let's see if I can just use that small funnel and just slowly start to add oil. We got 1.3 liters is what we're shooting for. Okay, so this just happens to be above 3 liters. Okay, here's 3.5. So that's about I'd say it's about halfway. It's probably a little less, but so 3.25 liters in this thing. So if I bring this level down to 2 liters, I got 1.25 going in to the scooter. So I'll just probably go a little tad below 2 liters. Okay, I've got a paper towel layer just in case it overflows. And we do the one-handed oil fill. And of course I'll do this slowly. Okay, thought you might think this was interesting. This is the Motul 300V oil color. Pretty cool. It actually has a smell to it that is unique. It's not like a petroleum smell. It's almost like a fruit smell. Kind of clever, you know? I mean, oil is such a commodity. It's like, how do you distinguish yourself from others? And it's kind of clever. I like it. I like when companies do things like that. As long as it's good quality oil. All right, let's measure, because I should be very close. So we're gonna get the dipstick. All right, the way you want to check oil on these Vespas, or at least this model, according to the owner's manual, is you want to loosely put in your dipstick. Okay, you're not going to screw it in, and then you want to remove it. Okay, and that oil level should fall somewhere in between the min and max. So if you look, I'm like halfway. So I think what I'll do is just put maybe a little bit more, like 0.1 liter in. That should get me around 3/4, maybe a little higher. I don't need to be right at the top, but let me just top that off right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run it for about 5 minutes, get it warm, and then double check the dipstick, and we should be good. All right, just got back from a quick ride and checked the oil, and it's just under full, so it's perfect the way it is, and I don't have to deal with it for another 6,200 miles, which is great. So hopefully this helps you guys if you've got a Primavera 150 or a Sprint 150, a current generation with the iGet engine. The instructions that we went through should apply for you, and you should be able to follow them as is. So hopefully this helps.